Hey, what's up, guys? For those of y'all who don't know, my name is Stephen Bruno. I've been wanting to do this video in particular. I felt God put it on my spirit, a while back. It's been about 6 months. I've been delaying it. Not because I was necessarily scared, but just because the man that I am dedicating and, putting in his memory and honor, I wanted to do a true justice to him, and as well as give other believers or Christ followers, Christians, um, advice on how to conduct themselves in a situation that can be challenging, how to be victorious while facing adversity, things like that. Um, so the video, I'll jump into it. So the video that or the man that this video is about, his name was Bart Desender. He was an ex-professor of mine, just an awesome dude. His full name was Bart Julian Agnes Marie Desender, from what it said online. Um, I think it's important to do a full name just because personally I like my full name to be mentioned, probably mainly because I'm a junior. So, I want it to, when something's being brought up about me, I want it to be sure that it's about me and not my dad. Um, so, yeah, that's why it says full name. It's really awesome testimony. He's really, really cool dude. He's, beloved man, not just TCC where I actually met him, but TCU. I'm sure of the recent last couple decades, he was probably up there in the top of ex students, ex alumni. Awesome dude. Um, so a little bit about him. He was born and raised in Belgium. He moved here to the States about 1977, where he came to attend TCU. He was another cool thing. He was a swimmer on the team, actually. I myself was certified lifeguard through Red Cross at TCC. That was my last position. I was certified lifeguard for them as well as a gym supervisor. So me and him were constantly rubbing shoulders, bumping into each other, stuff like that. He was before he passed, he was actually in the process of earning his doctorate at SMU. So just a very intelligent man. He owned his own business. He was still a personal trainer up until his passing. At least last I knew, was like the fitness manager for like over 10 years at the Four Seasons. Trained and met famous athletes, entertainers, things like that. Just really, really, really cool stuff. Another cool thing, he was an avid fan and bonsai tree grower guy, guru. I personally had 3 bonsai trees thus far in my life, and I'm 0 for 3. They've all died. Um, Funny, I'm actually a huge fan of the Karate Kid, always have been since I was a young boy, and I just loved the way Mr. Miyagi would teach lessons to Daniel, and I always had a good metaphor, things like that. So I always liked bonsai trees. And anyways, on my next bonsai tree, I'm dedicating it to you, Bart. I'm gonna name it Tree Bart instead of Tree Bark. And that's probably a really corny joke, so don't end the video on that. But in all sincerity, I will name it that, and I'll do it in dedication of you, my friend. So there we go. So I actually had the privilege to meet Bart about a year and a half ago. I was at TCC, and I met him. So it wasn't last summer; it was the previous one. And I met him while he was an instructor for College for Kids, I believe is what it's called. And they do that for young kids, and they come, and it's kind of like camp. They're always doing all these activities like every day. It's to help keep kids active and stuff. It's really actually really cool. They do all kinds of programs. You know, conditioning, flag football, weight training, and weight training was actually the course that he was the instructor on. So I went in there while he was in the weight room, and I introduced myself, shook his hand, looked him in the eyes, and just told him that I was excited, because I had just paid for and, was going to be a student in his class coming up the fall, that late August, that I was going to be in his classroom. And I was really excited and to continue this journey in my, journey of kinesiology, that I was, not just a kinesiology major, but I was going to earn another certification to add to my arsenal. And you know, he was cool. He just said that, you know, to be prepared because the class was a lot more tedious than people think. You know, it involves a lot of anatomy. Um, so, you know, for other people, I don't understand how they wouldn't, you know, be prepared to, you know, or already have learned a lot of anatomy anyways going into something like that. But so, yeah, you know, it was cool. And, you know, boom. So fast forward to his class. Um, um, you know, so he goes in and he starts telling us all his credentials. You know, when we all met and in the class kind of introduced ourselves and stuff, and then it was his turn, obviously. And you know, he's just a really cool dude. He was telling us about Belgium, you know, stuff. Sounds funny, but he loved Belgian waffles. In fact, I even remember, you know, one of the last classes, I was joking and was like, "Yo, can you get us some bonus points if I bring you a Belgian waffle?" And you know, he kind of laughed. Obviously, he wasn't really the one that graded us. Actually, it's Ace, so he was just the instructor. And he laughed and just said, "It better be a real Belgian waffle, none of that fake stuff." And you know, he had an accent, and it was really cool. And I don't want to try it because I'll butcher it. Just an awesome dude. And anyways, you know, so he's going in, telling us all the details of Belgium and how he grew up, and you know, all that good stuff. And I don't even know where this came out of, or, you know, what we were talking about exactly that brought this up. But he goes in and he kind of starts talking about the Lord's Prayer, and he basically said somewhat of the, you know, along the lines of, how can a loving God want his people to eat bread when bread is bad for them? And I'm just like, I was like, yo, where is this coming from? Like, what the heck? Like, I didn't say that, but I'm thinking it. And so, long story short, for that, I just kind of, you know, whatever. I ignored it, like water off a duck's back. And, you know, boom. It was like the next class. Somehow, same thing gets brought up. And I'm just like, okay, what was the point of this? Like, this isn't a theology course. It's not a world religions class. This is literally a personal training course. And I mean, we don't even really talk about nutrition, which, you know, obviously I personally think that should be a focal point when it comes to personal training. But at the same time, you know, whatever. It's just that wasn't really, as far as that curriculum goes, it's not really, I guess, one of the main criterias. Obviously, it talks about it, but not to the great details that would really do justice for people. But anyway, so either way, I'm just thinking that, and I'm like, so there's no point of this to be brought up, no point of this to be talking about. And like, we weren't asking opinions about religion or faith or anything like that. And I'm by no means a religious man. I mean, I am a Christ follower. I'm actually an ordained minister, but I don't consider myself religious. So, you know, whatever, I continue to ignore it. And it was probably about within 3 weeks, he probably brought up like a similar thing, you know, certain jabs, like I said, within 3 weeks, and like 5 times. So I'm just like, okay, you know, so I go and I won't mention nobody's name other than mine and Bart's, just because I didn't ask anybody if it was okay. And I believe as a man, you know, I want to ask you face to face if it's okay. And since I didn't do that, I will not mention names. But I went to one of my superiors and I just told her, hey, you know, this is the situation, all in confidence because she's a wonderful person. And then, like I said, I admired this man even at that point, and I don't want him in trouble because, you know, I like the guy. I think he's a wonderful teacher, you know, and I'm just like, dude, he's such an asset to the kinesiology field that I don't want this kind of a person to get in trouble, you know, for something just because we may not see eye to eye. Like, I don't understand. That wouldn't be a means for me to think it's okay to sabotage the guy or anything like that or put a stain on him. And so, you know, I just told her if she thought it'd be okay if I talked to him man to man. She said she thought that'd be a really great idea, you know, to go ahead and pursue it in that manner. So I left, and I didn't, I'm not going to lie, because I thought, you know what, whatever. If he doesn't do it again, you know, I'll ignore it. But if he does it again, I'll probably walk out of the classroom, and I told my wife that. And so, you know, but I would never cause a scene, and I didn't. And of course, it happened again, naturally. So you know, that's why we're here. So we're in the class, and he brings up something again, another jab. And so I pretended like I got a text, and I'm looking at my phone. I think I just texted my wife like, hey, I'm leaving early or something like that. And then I put my phone in my pocket and put my binder, closed it, put it in my backpack, zipped it up, put it on. I waved at him and just left. It was all discreet, nothing, no drama, nothing like that. And so after that, I go and I seeked out advice from another advisor or superior who was a man, and he was an older, not old, but older than me, and somebody who had experience with Bart, and kind of wanted more of his advice because he's a little more closer with him and stuff. So I felt it would be better to ask him how he felt, if it was okay about me talking to him. And naturally, he said he thought it was actually a wonderful idea, that it would benefit both parties, and for him knowing his Bart as long as he did, that he felt it would be great, and that from the little he got to know about me and can understand my personal demeanor and how I conduct myself, that he thought it would just benefit both sides. So from there, I went, I think the next day I went, knocking on his door, caught him in his office hours, and I just said, hey, can I speak with you? I want to talk to you in private. He said, of course, come on in. And then the funny part right here. So I said, do you mind if I shut the door? And he said no. And then I was like, I don't know, I guess maybe I overanalyzed it, but I was like, wait, does he mean no? Like, don't shut the door? Does he mean no, I don't mind, shut the door? And so I ended up leaving the door open, and I was like, crud, there's people out here, and I don't want them to hear our conversation. But at the same time, I don't want to make him uncomfortable and feel like I'm trying to intimidate him or anything like that. And so, whatever. I ended up leaving the door open. And I just told him, I said, I wanted to come speak to you man to man, face to face. Because one, that's what I would like in this situation that I'm bringing up. As a man, I humbly carry myself. If I'm wrong, I'll take it on the chin and try to become better. And so I explained to him, I said, the most important thing in my life is my faith. I have a crazy testimony in and of itself. That's not what this video is about, but that's what I told him. And I said, when it comes to you and I see we're very similar as far as our passion, as far as that I believe in the areas that we deem we like or we deem important to us, that we try to diligently study and seek out every resource we can to become more enlightened. And I said, and that's how I am with my faith as well as kinesiology, and that's actually why I'm taking this course as well, to just be under somebody's tutelage like you and grow. And I just told him, I said, maybe he thought I was being sarcastic, or not necessarily sarcastic, maybe thought I was somewhat kind of rude in this situation, and I can see how it might have came off like that. That's just my personality. Sometimes I'm goofy and stuff, and anyways, I just said, look, I believe that I've studied enough and still do, that I humble myself into thinking that I don't know everything, but I think I know enough that if I was to get into a debate with somebody when it came to faith, my particular faith, that I'm going to come out on top. And I've studied other religions on a higher level than the average person, because as my personal self, if I come into a conversation or come into a position where I get to discuss with somebody of a different faith or whatever, I want to know why they believe what they believe. Not because like, why do you believe it, but just exactly what they believe, and I can understand that. So, I've studied many other religions, and I just kind of told him that, and told him, I that wasn't my place to challenge you, to disrespect you. I said, that's actually why I left the classroom. I said, but I did so in a calm and quiet manner, because I was not here to challenge you. I was not here to embarrass you. I was not here to disrespect you nor your classroom or cause a awkward situation moving forward. And I said, that's why I'm here right now. And, and he was smiling, and if you know Bart, he's kind of got that Bart smile, and he was like, well, do you want me to apologize? And I said, no. I said, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here for your apology. I'm just here so you can understand where I'm coming from, because I'm a future pursuing educator, teacher, and I come from a family of them, and I admire you and think you're a wonderful one, and I just wanted you to understand that obviously in a classroom setting you have a lot of diversity, and basically that was it. I wasn't like easily offended where I'm like, oh, like I think a lot of people in this day and age are a little overly offended, and obviously in scripture it says to be slow to anger, and not be easily be offended. And I just said, so as somebody who holds scripture near and dear to my heart. I want to represent that to its highest, and that's why I came to you. And, basically that was pretty much it. And then I left the room, said, I'll see you in class tomorrow. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, this conversation, it happened, but it didn't happen to the extent of I'm not going to hold you accountable or keep you in any type of awkward situation or anything like that. And going forward, I asked him just as much, if not maybe even more so, questions than I did before, and took diligent notes, and always would ask him if I was stumbled on something or advice or anything like that. And if I saw him out and about, I always went in and out of my way to make sure he saw me, that I said hello. I prayed for the dude, oh my gosh, like every day. And not, nothing like, oh, I'm boasting about that, because I'm not. I'm just saying that I felt it on my spirit and on my heart to pray for this man every chance I could. So every time I'd see him, I would just pray under my breath, and I'd be like, God bless Bart, in Jesus' name, or, keep Bart safe. Just different things, but always something short and quick to the point. And other times I would diligently pray for him. So fast forward, about 2 months or so, close to the end of our class. I don't remember how this got brought up. And I've always held it near and dear to my heart to not to judge somebody, because you never know what demons are battling. You never know how, the journey they've took in those shoes that you haven't walked a mile in, things like that. And I've wrote down, I got some notes right here of scriptures I've wrote down. Let me read. I'll read those real quick. So the first one's Ephesians 5:1-2, and it says, "Be imitators of God in everything you do, for then you will represent your Father as his beloved sons and daughters, and continue to walk surrendered to the extravagant love of Christ. For he surrendered his life as a sacrifice for us. His great love for us was pleasing to God, like an aroma of adoration, a sweet healing fragrance." And then the next one, so 1 John 2:5-6, it says, "But the love of God will be perfected within the one who obeys God's word. We can be sure that we have truly come to live in intimacy with God, not just by saying, 'I am intimate with God,' but by walking in the footsteps of Jesus." And so I was watching Tim Tebow on the Larry King Show one time, and this quote that he said, it stuck with me ever since. And he said, "Every day we share the gospel, but every now and then we use words," meaning the way I conduct myself, the way I communicate with a stranger or a loved one or a friend or anyone for that matter. That's how I share the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's, being exactly what it says, where people say, like, talk is cheap, right? Or can you talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? And so I've took that ever since I heard that, and I hold it near and dear to my heart, because it's easy. I mean, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, what did they do? They constantly preached. They constantly were teaching the word, but they weren't living what they spoke. For instance, when they caught the woman in adultery, right? And they told Jesus, "The law says to stone such a woman. What do you say?" And, he paused for a while, said he was like playing with a stick in the sand or whatever. And who knows, he probably wrote the word forgiven, or he might've been writing all their sins down. Nobody knows. And he said, "I will give my stone to the first man who says he has never sinned." And nobody could say that. In fact, they all dropped their stones. And so basically, that's what I think. I think a lot of times, people are quick to judge. People, it's like, okay, so like when you look at Jesus' disciples, who were they? They were the 12 people that were deemed like some of the worst of society, and Jesus loved them. He gave them love. He showed them grace and compassion and stuff. And that's what we're called to do, right? And so that's what I thought of, in this whole situation is, I'm here to be an example. Who am I to get angry? Who am I to judge or condemn anybody for anything, whether it's, a complete opposite view of me or not? And, it says that, well, I'll read this scripture too. So it's John 7:24, and it says, "Stop judging based on the superficial. First, you must embrace the standards of mercy and truth," meaning that you can't judge on an outside appearance. You could judge righteously. There's a difference between a condemning judgment and judging it with righteousness. So, I've held all those near and dear to me. And, so Bart gets in this situation where he starts becoming very vulnerable. And I have just admire this, and I'll never forget this. And it made me be on more fire with how I was around him and towards him and thoughts and stuff. And so he starts talking about his sisters. He had, I believe, 2 sisters. I hope I'm not wrong. And if the family watches this, I do apologize for any details I might have left out or mixed up. But he talked about how one of his sisters passed away. And then I think not even, maybe a year, maybe so after that, the next one passed away. And then I think he said his mom passed after that from a broken heart, is what he said. And I remember him saying something about how there's been healing in bodies that even science can't explain. That the power of prayer and belief and faith has healed bodies. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, where's this coming from? This is Bart, and he's talking about healing. He's talking about power of prayer. And then he starts saying how he used to be an evangelist. And he went to other countries to share the gospel. And all of a sudden, my heart starts, I want to cry. He's about to cry. I see his eyes getting watery. And he says, he said, what turned me away from my faith was all the hypocrites that I was around. All the hypocrites that I seen, and all the people who were saying one thing but doing another. And it made me so sad for him. A man who obviously has suffered great losses, and then a man who saw so many people who were going about it the wrong way. And for instance, as I'm an ordained minister, and I said a curse word, not too long ago when I was talking with somebody, and I wasn't cursing at them, just I said a curse word in general, and I remember he said, "You're a Christian. You can't say that." And I looked at him, and he wasn't. I shouldn't be talking like that, but I told him, I corrected him, and I said, that's the problem with the world. They see people that are Christian, right? And they want to convict them because they did something. And we are imperfect people. The only perfect one was Jesus. So if the world's view of Christians is they have to be perfect, then they're already mistaken, because we are imperfect people and we are flawed. And so it made me upset. I don't ever want. I've experienced religious people, right? And I'm religious by no means. And the religious people are the same ones that crucified and condemned Jesus. They were the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And so I look at that, and I can say I've ran into a bunch of them throughout my life, even before I got born again. And that's probably the main reason why I didn't, want to be on fire for Christ or whatever when I was young. It's people like that. And it just made me really sad for him, and I believe that God has ordained us and certain people to be in our life and cross paths. Everybody has a season, some longer, some shorter. I believe that me and him were meant to cross paths for a reason. And I don't know, I just pray to God that I was able to plant a seed in him again and show him a different way, that not all of us are hypocrites and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, essentially. And like I said, in fact, actually after that class, I went to pray for him right afterwards. And I think I actually went to the bathroom, which is kind of weird. I think I went to the stall and prayed. And who knows, somebody probably heard me and thought, who's this weirdo praying in the bathroom? I guess I could have went to the synergy room or locker room or something, my car, outside. But it was probably the nearest thing. So I went to the second floor bathroom and started praying for Bart, because I could feel the pain that he felt. And I feel like my passion for him grew, even more so to pray for him and to be even more Christ-like as much as I could. Every time I see him, I'm always smile and ask him how he's doing. Hope you're doing well. And, just small things, nothing that would be bombarding by any ways. But, anyways, and so I just, after that class, I was talking to one of my friends, we were playing basketball, and he actually brought it up and said, I've been praying for Bart lately. And I was like, wow, dude. I was like, it's crazy. I've been praying for him since. And I was like, but after that day that he was vulnerable and kind of told us a little more into his life, I've really been praying for him, and he was the same thing. He said the same thing. And so we just continued to challenge each other to keep praying for him. And even my wife prayed for him, and it just it never stopped, and then fortunately the day I got the news that he passed, I was very shocked. And in fact, I remember, I think the first thing I did was I called my pastor, and I just started crying and weeping on the phone, and just saying how I was so upset because I wish I could have done more. And I don't mean that to say that I wish I would have done more, saved his life. I have no idea. I'm not saying that. Just that I wish maybe I would have stepped to his office. Maybe I would have went and told him, hey, do you mind if I pray with you? I do remember, the last time that his class, when we finished, it was Christmas time. We were leaving for the semester, in between for Christmas break. And I remember he was walking, and he was almost out to the parking lot. And I opened the door and yelled out, Merry Christmas, Bart. I hope you have a, great holiday season. And he looked back and he waved and he said, Merry Christmas, Stephen. And, he's just a wonderful man. And I believe in my heart that, he knew the truth. And I personally, I can't wait for the day that I go through the pearly gates and I see you up there, Bart. And you know what? I'm going to get you a Belgian waffle on me. And I'm going to eat one with you. We'll have one together. And we'll talk about, more stuff and kinesiology and just everything, man. I can't wait. The day that happens, it's going to be fun. And I just want you to know that you're a wonderful man. As so many other people could vouch and say as well, I thank you. I thank God that we were able to cross paths. I believe it was for a reason. I believe it benefited both of us. There's so much more I could say. I don't want to make the video too long, but just a true blessing to have known Bart. And it was an honor for me to use this situation as one to grow, to realize that there's people that we are meant to cross paths with, that we're supposed to pray for, that we're supposed to be an example for. And I just hope and pray and I believe in my heart that I was different than what the usual that he experienced back in the day. And like I said, please, nobody who's watching this take this in any way, shape, or form that I'm boasting about myself, because I am very imperfect. I'm, not worthy of the cross. And like I said, the video is not necessarily about me, but I just want y'all to truly understand that it's in those situations where we need to realize we don't know what somebody's gone through. We don't know why they are the way they are or anything like that. And this is not anything to say bad about him, by no means, just a situation where sometimes you'll come into a position where you are meant to be that influence to somebody. You are meant to be a light, and I believe I was put in that situation for that exact reason. And I love that man. And so many other people did too. And like I said, I just can't wait until the day I'm up there through the gates and I get to hang out with him again. Maybe we'll have a squat off. And by the way, if nobody ever saw him lift weights, dude had beautiful form. I remember one time I saw him squatting. He was like over 275 pounds at his age, and he was doing it with flawless, impeccable form. I mean, back was straight, legs were parallel, everything was great, ankles, knees never bowed in, nothing. And I can't wait. Maybe we'll have a squat off. In fact, maybe we'll have a swim off. I challenge you to a I don't know, 150, something short, because I was never good at long distance swimming. But that first 25 or 50, it was pretty fast. So I challenge you to a swim off, and then the winner has to buy the other one a Belgian waffle, and maybe we'll cut bonsai trees together like Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. Anyways, anybody else who sees this, who knew Bart, share your testimony, share your story with him. He was a wonderful man, and I can only imagine the stories, that other people have with him. Anyways, love y'all. God bless you all. And, to the Desender family, I just pray blessings over y'all, the blessing of Abraham to its fullest that was mentioned in the book of Genesis. I may not know y'all, but, I have nothing but love for your family, your father or brother or whatever Bart was to you was a wonderful man who influenced a lot of people. And I just, I want y'all to know that he changed so many lives for the better. God bless y'all. And everybody else who watches this video, love y'all. God bless you in Jesus' name. See you again, Bart. Rest in peace, my brother.